Life in the fast lane for these drivers means intense competition and serious racing as they compete to become the first Formula One Esports Series champion. London may have played host to the event's semi-finals, but state-of-the-art simulators meant they were transported to the famous circuits of Interlagos and Silverstone.
Coming into the first corner, they make contact and they just managed to hold on, incredibly close.
When it comes to feeling like the real thing, the gap between esports and real-world F1 is getting closer all the time.
You've got to think as well that what we are doing today, Max Verstappen sits in his house and does. So every real racing driver these days are using simulators. I went across to Nelson Piquet's house in Monaco and built him a simulator, and we're sitting hot lapping together. So all these guys do it. You might not know they do it, but it's pretty cool to be doing the same as them. And you never know, online races you can sometimes bump into them that can be extra cool, you know.
F1 gamers have had to wait their turn to play on the biggest stage, but are now enjoying getting credit for what they do.
We've been waiting for it to happen. When we saw that Counter-Strike and these things in esports became major, I think we were waiting for it to happen in motor racing esport. Yeah, of course, I think the Formula One teams themselves will start to interact with the fans and the gamers, and maybe have gamers on a contract of the real Formula One team.
Formula One may not have been the first sport to enter the competitive gaming arena, but events like its inaugural Esports Series show that it's certainly back on the pace. Whilst Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel battle it out for the real-world driver's title, there is a hope that one day events like this could provide gamers with a route onto the grid beside them.
There's no reason why these guys can't go from being gamers to competing at the lower ladder of single-seater racing, start in Formula 4, Formula 3, F2 and F1. So there's certainly an argument to be made that it does give them a much more cost-effective way of getting on the ladder. And that's really important because, the cost involved with buying a gaming console, a set of pedals and a screen, while expensive on its own, is infinitely cheaper than going karting for a couple of years. So I think there's a balance to be struck there.
Lewis Hamilton could well have clinched the F1 driver's title by the time the virtual winner gets their hands on the esports trophy at the end of November. More than 60,000 entered the virtual tournament, with the final 20 now heading to Abu Dhabi in a race to the finish.